Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into the world of coins, specifically the iconic 1965 Roosevelt dime. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting your numismatic journey, this coin has a fascinating history and some intriguing aspects to consider. We'll be talking about its design, history, and most importantly, its current value in circulation. So, grab your magnifying glass and let's get started. The Roosevelt dime was first introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt following his passing in 1945. This was a significant change as it replaced the winged Liberty Head dime, also known as the Mercury dime, which had been in circulation since 1916. The Roosevelt dime was designed by John Sinek, the chief engraver at the U.S. Mint. The obverse features a left-facing portrait of Roosevelt, and on the reverse you'll see a torch flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, symbols of peace and strength. Let's focus on the 1965 version. This year marked a significant shift in U.S. coinage due to the Coinage Act of 1965. The act removed silver from dimes, quarters, and half dollars, replacing it with a copper-nickel alloy. This was done to address the rising cost of silver demand per coins. So, what exactly is the 1965 Roosevelt dime made of? Unlike earlier issues, which were composed of 90% silver, the 1965 dime is made of 75% copper and 25% nickel. This gives the coin a distinctive look and feel compared to its silver counterparts. This alloy made the dime more durable and less expensive to produce, but it also meant that the coin was no longer made of precious metal, which affected its intrinsic value. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's talk about how much this dime is worth today. Now, you might be wondering, what is the value of the 1965 Roosevelt dime today? Well, if you happen to find one of these coins in your pocket change, it's still going to be worth just 10 cents. It's face value. However, the value changes if the coin is in uncirculated condition or if it's a rare variety. While the 1965 dime is still relatively common in circulation, some collectors are interested in coins that show little to no wear, which can command a premium. Speaking of rare varieties, while the 1965 Roosevelt dime isn't considered a major key date, there are some minor errors and variations that can add value to a specific coin. For instance, there are known varieties where the mint mark D for Denver, or different positions or even slightly different shapes. While these types of variations are subtle, they can make certain coins more valuable to collectors. The real standout factor for a 1965 dime's value comes from its condition. Coin collectors and dealers use a grading system to determine the condition of a coin. A 1965 Roosevelt dime that's been heavily circulated, meaning it shows signs of wear and tear, will typically only be worth its face value or just a little more. But coins that have been preserved in excellent condition, such as MS-65 mint state, can fetch higher prices, ranging anywhere from $1 to $5 depending on demand and market conditions. Some coins might even fetch a bit more if they are graded higher, such as MS-67 or better. But remember, since millions of these dimes were minted, the rarity factor isn't as strong as it is with other coins, making the 1965 Roosevelt dime a relatively affordable option for most collectors. Even though the 1965 Roosevelt dime may not be worth much in its regular circulated state, it marked the beginning of the shift away from silver in our coinage. And its 1969 Roosevelt dime, what's its current value and why is it so bad for you? But before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss out on our latest videos about coins, currency, and collecting tips. Now, let's jump in. First, let's take a quick look at this iconic coin. The Roosevelt dime was first minted in 1946 to honor the late President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Roosevelt, who passed away in 1945, this coin quickly became a staple of American currency, known for its elegant design and its practical use in everyday transactions. On the obverse side, we see a profile of Franklin D. Roosevelt, designed by artist John R. Sinek. The words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" are inscribed, along with the mint year, which for this specific coin is 1969. On the reverse side, we see the familiar design featuring a torch, an olive branch, and an oak branch, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. The word "E pluribus unum" is inscribed, meaning "out of minting of the 1969 one dime." Now, let's talk about the minting of the 1969 Roosevelt dime. The U.S. Mint struck these coins at multiple locations across the country. The main minting sites for the 1969 dimes were Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. You can identify which mint produced your dime by looking at the mint mark located on the reverse side of the coin, just below the olive branch. If your coin has no mint mark, it was minted in Philadelphia. If it has a D, it came from Denver, and if it has an S, it was struck in San Francisco. This mint mark is important because it can affect the coin's rarity and value, so let's talk about value. For most collectors, the 1969 Roosevelt dime is not considered rare. In fact, it's quite common, with hundreds of millions of these coins minted in 1969 alone. So, if you have one in circulated condition, don't expect to make a fortune. You can usually find a 1969 dime for about 10 to 20 cents in today's market. But the value of your 1969 Roosevelt dime can fluctuate depending on its condition. According to a study published last year by the South Asian University, meaning it has been in regular use and shows some wear, won't fetch much more than face value. However, if your coin is in uncirculated or proof condition, it can be worth significantly more. So how do you determine the value of your 1997 Roosevelt dime? Whether you're a coin collector or just someone who's come across one in your spare change, we'll explore its history, design, minting details, and what this coin might be worth today if it's been in circulation. So let's get started. The Roosevelt dime first made its appearance in 1946, replacing the Mercury dime. The coin was created as a tribute to Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States, shortly after he passed away. Roosevelt was not only a highly respected leader, but also a champion of the fight against polio, a cause that resonated deeply with many Americans. The March of Dimes Foundation, which aimed to combat polio, actually inspired the choice of the dime denomination to honor his legacy. Now, let's take a look at the design. On the front, or obverse, of the 1997 Roosevelt dime, we see a profile of President Roosevelt dime we see a left. This design has remained largely unchanged since its inception, and it was created by John R. Sinek, the chief engraver of the United States Mint. At the time, he said, we symbols of strength, liberty, and peace represented by the olive branch, torch, and oak branch. The words United States of America and coin's denomination, one dime, are inscribed here as well. These elements together represent the values Roosevelt held dear. So, let's talk about the mint. The 1997 Roosevelt dimes were produced at two primary locations, Philadelphia and Denver. If your coin was minted in Philadelphia, it will either have no mint mark or a P mark located to the right of Roosevelt's neck. If it was minted in Denver, you'll see a small D instead. A total of over 2.3 billion dimes were struck that year, with around 1.5 billion from Philadelphia and 811 million from Denver. With such high mintage numbers, this coin is quite common. All right, Now for the big question. What's a 1997 Roosevelt dime worth today in circulated condition? Because of the high mintage, the 1997 Roosevelt dime isn't rare, and you'll typically find it for face value, 10 cents, in circulated condition. However, let's look at a few factors that might affect its value slightly. First, condition. If your 1997 dime has heavy wear, it's worth about 10 cents, but if you find one in a higher grade, like an AU, almost uncirculated condition, you might get a few cents more from collectors. This is primarily due to its good condition rather than rarity and other during the minting process. And these errors can increase a coin's value. Examples could include off-center strikes, double strikes, or die cracks. A 1997 Roosevelt dime with a significant error can sell for a few dollars or even more depending on how unique the error is. So, why would someone want to collect a 1997 Roosevelt dime? The truth is, most people don't see it as a collectible on its own, but some collectors enjoy creating date runs where they collect one dime from each mint location. Even though the coin isn't rare, it can still be a part of a broader collection that represents American history. And here's a fun fact. The Roosevelt dime has been in circulation for over 75 years now, and it's the only circulating U.S. coin that has remained mostly unchanged since it was first introduced. Many Americans may not realize it, but every time they see a dime, they're holding a piece of history. So there you have it. While a 1997 Roosevelt dime might not bring in big bucks, it's a fascinating piece of U.S. coinage that connects us to Franklin D. Roosevelt's legacy in an era of resilience in American history. Remember, even common coins have their stories, and they're worth appreciating. If you enjoyed this dive into the 1997 Roosevelt dime, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for more videos about coins and collectibles. Thanks for watching, and let us know in the comments if you have any interesting Roosevelt dimes or other unique coins. See you in the next video.